Hey guys, I'm backstage here. Give me just a second. I wanted to make sure I get everybody's attention. This is a case that we've been reporting on for a very long time, and we need your help. So I'm waiting for everybody to get in here, and I'll be with you in just a second. This is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. Hey guys, uh, so I have the unfortunate duty to come on here and let you guys know this is the case that we've been following for several years now. When talking about this, woke culture and uh, parents wanting to get gender transition surgeries and hormone put hormones in kids 10 years ago. Was this even a thing? Do any of you even remember hearing about this? No, it really wasn't a thing. And when it came on the radar, it came on the radar really, really quick and blew up. But this case right here was probably the first that people saw. I'm sure there was some others, but this was an international case. Jeff Younger, out of the state of Texas, has been fighting against the gender transition surgery of his kid, James, since he was 7. To date, he spent about $1.5 million, guys, fighting against this. He's done everything that he can. It has been going on for a long time. A lot of people hear about this and they think it's make-believe. Oh, there's no way this could really be happening. And I think that's how they've been able to get away with it for so long. But just let me tell you how deep this goes and how crazy it is. Again, started when he was 7 years old. I do believe he's 11 now. So you're looking at about 4 or 5 years this case has been going on. The ex was a pediatrician there in the state of Texas. He started noticing little things like his son was wearing a towel on his head, and he would ask him, what's going on here? If you actually go on Dad Talk Today's wall over on Instagram, you'll see it. I made a reel of it. And that is his son, James, saying, I'm a girl. Who told you that you're a girl? Jeff says, Mommy. While he's got this towel on his head, acting like he's, got long hair. Jeff used to take his son to school, guys, in the state of Texas. And he took him as James, dressed up as his son. When Jeff would leave, the school would put him in a wig and a dress. And then his name became Luna. Crazy thing about this is I got another father that's going through this exact same thing with his son in the same county, under the same judge, and his ex is wanting to call the son Luna, wanting to do the exact same thing. But guys, he has went everywhere in the state of Texas, and they sided with mom, and they allowed this to go on. There has been a very, very big grassroots effort that has been led to get this banned. One thing, I don't care what side of politics you are on right now. Let's make this clear. I don't want to see any of that bullcrap on the page. Right now, it is about kids, right? We're trying to save a kid here. But one thing Donald Trump did say is within his first 100 days, the first thing he's going to do in office is ban these surgeries for kids. And guys, that is something that shouldn't even have to have a law passed for it. But we have got to that point. But there was a big grassroots effort that was led there in the state of Texas. And we got these gender transition surgeries banned for kids. So the state of Texas then allowed the mom to move to California in LA, where it's anything goes. There's been several laws that have been passed over there in California that if your kid says they identify as the opposite sex and you don't go along with it, it's listed as child abuse and they'll take your kid away from you. It's basically anything goes over there. It's the wild, wild west. No pun intended. So he's been fighting this for like over a year now, guys. And I want you to understand the magnitude of this battle. He lives in around Fort Worth, Texas. Every other week, he's having to fly from Texas to Los Angeles take all those days off of work, fight this case, come back home, do what he can, then come back. He's been through several different attorneys. The system doesn't know what to do with stuff like this because it's all brand new and it's shocking to them. And unfortunately, this is one of those situations that has become political. There is a political side to this that thinks this is perfectly okay. And so when you go inside of a courtroom that has a political bias with a judge that is an activist, you're fighting a losing battle. No matter how I argue my case, no matter what evidence that I bring, the odds are stacked against me. And he's knew this. He just had like the final dates of his trial last week. So we've been sitting back waiting. And I got the devastating news, like absolutely gut-wrenching, devastating news that he was informed today he has lost all parental rights to his sons, not just James, but his other son, Jude, as well. Basically saying she has no opposition now. And there are so many people that need to be called out with this, man. And when I say that it doesn't need to be political, because I'll call out both sides. Both sides were complicit in this. In the state of Texas, the governor, Greg Abbott, they begged you to step in and do something about this. Literally begged you. And you wouldn't do anything. And now look where we're at. You could have stopped this. You could have been a hero from the very beginning. Guys, you got to understand, when it goes to family court, and when we talk about big pharma, where there's money, there is going to be major, major corruption. This is something that the family courts are going to thrive off of. Because not only do you got the attorneys in there now you got to go get the experts, you got to get the doctors, you got to get the counselors, you got to get the therapists to supervise visitation, and then the hormones. A kid starts taking a hormone. You have a lifetime customer right there that has to take those hormones for the rest of their life. They try to say that this stuff is reversible. It's not reversible, man. And there is no facts or findings there that says once these kids do this, that it solves their problem. And they want the number one thing that usually solves this problem is a kid going through puberty. Once they go through puberty, they no longer want this. Well, what are we seeing? They want to block puberty. I wonder why. Maybe a kid might say, I no longer want to do that. I am pissed off. Severely, severely pissed off. And I wish I had a call to action for you right now. I might not have it right this second, but I am damn sure going to get it. And for whoever's watching right now, first off, let me say thank you. But now that you've heard it, we have a duty, guys, to make sure that we get this out there. If Donald Trump's wanting to ban this, tag him. Your congressman, your senator. Hey, Joe Rogan, we could use you right now, man. Theo Vaughn, David Harris Jr., any of these big influencers that's got to reach, Newsmax, Fox, I'll go on CNN. I don't care where it is. Get us on there. This needs to be heard. At this point, he has lost all parental rights, guys. And so in saying that, there's no opposition. Up until this point, he had been fighting in court, doing everything he could. And I want to say something to my buddy right there, man. I'm pretty sure that you are inundated with calls and everything. I had a few texts with him earlier and I said, sit back. I'm about to go full bore, man. We're going to get something going. I don't know how he's done it this long. I don't, man. And it'd be a father like that they'll say is a deadbeat father when he went and spoke at UNT and ran for Congress and was doing what he could to get the laws changed. People holding up their signs, calling him a deadbeat father for not wanting this to go down. Like, what is your definition of a deadbeat is one thing I would like to know. I think this is a case more of a deadbeat mother, but not trying to bring that into it, man. I just cannot believe, guys, that we are in a world that thinks it is okay to mess with a kid's gender, to do these experimental surgeries on them at such a young age that is going to have these devastating consequences. I gotta get out there. I gotta get out there and I gotta start to find out something. And we need your help, guys. We need your help. I will find a bullet point list of like, this is how you can help. As of right now, getting the word out there to people who have a little bit more power than me. I'm a social media podcast. I am fully invested in this case. Jeff, you consider me a soldier in your army, dude. Whatever you need, morning, day, night, I don't care when it is, where it is, I'm here. I'm there for you. You say when, I'm there. But I know my limited ability on this. And so if I can depend on you guys, the ones that are listening right here, this is how you organize. This is when we come together. There might be another father out there that's struggling with it, maybe not this similar case, but they are here because they are wanting to see some action happen with the reform and family courts. This is your story to get behind. Because listen, even though this is one of those niche, because it's, the gender transition stuff, if this case gets out there on a grand scale and they find out what happened, it is because of the family courts that this happened. This is the type of case that will get that attention. And once Jeff gets in there, guys, I promise you, nobody can expose this system like Jeff Younger can. I have so much respect for this guy, one of the smartest guys. And again, I don't know how he's lasted this long with this fight, man. But if you get behind stuff like this, there's certain cases that move the needle just a little bit more. They will see this and they'll say, how did it get here in the first place? The family courts, because it was all about money. Every single bit of this was all about money. But Jeff got the worst of both worlds, man. Jeff was not only in the family court, but again, this became political. Now, because of the divisiveness of Republicans and Democrats, conservative and liberals, there is this new thing that the two sides battle off of, and this is transgender movement. And let me just say this, guys. Do I agree with it? Do I believe in it? No, I don't. But if that's what somebody wants to do with their life, I'm not going to hate you for it. I'm not going to put you down for it. I have no idea what's going on in your life. So for me to sit back and judge you, that's just, I've got better things to do with my time. Where I do care and where I will get involved is when you take a 7-year-old child that has so many things that could be going on. These kids have so much on their shoulders. And you start saying that you need these life, altering surgeries. Guys, we don't allow kids to get tattoos. How many times have you heard that? I know that. But let's think about all the other things. We don't allow them to smoke. We don't allow them to drink. We don't allow them to just shave their head bald. I mean, there's certain things we as parents have to say, hey, you don't need to do that. It is our responsibility to make sure that they are being taken care of and that they are getting proper guidance. And if you sit there and take opinion out of this, let's completely take opinion in how you feel out of this. Look at the research, what this does to children. And it will blow your mind. It's got to be stopped. And this is a movement that is growing quicker than anyone can imagine. For a lot of you in the Southeast, I'm here from Georgia. I heard about it on TV. But as far as seeing it, face to face, I would see, one example or something like that every once in a while. But because you didn't see it, you're like, oh, it's not that big of a thing. But then I go out west, California, and then Texas. People think Texas is this big red state, the good old boy state. It is filled with this stuff, dude. And I'm telling you guys, Jeff was like one of the pioneers of this where it happened. And then, buddy, it has taken off like wildfire. I've got several of these parents that I talk to that are going through this, and it's becoming a tactic also in the courts. So think about this: if I am a parent, and maybe I think I'm losing the battle in family court, and I'm in a state where if the parent doesn't agree with this, they instantly lose access. Well, now your kid's transgender. That's what mom says. Your kid's transgender. Dad, do you not believe it? Be careful, Dad, because if you don't go along with it, if you don't say these surgeries and stuff are needed, if you don't go along with this, you can lose access to your kids. This is the way these things are strategically used, guys. And it's scary. If you got any questions on this, I have said most of what I can say, but I'm going to tell you, please, the hardest thing we have to do is get people involved in the eyeballs on this stuff. It is very, very hard. We do it on social media. I don't get the big funding and stuff like that. So to have like this, I wish I had this advocacy army that when stuff like this happens, everybody just gets on top of it. Because let me tell you something, when we work together in numbers, change happens, but we are limited to who is going to see it. So make sure that you are following this and looking back into it, because we are going to need you. We are going to have to organize. Every single one of these fathers, guys, listen to me, and I want you to listen to me close. Every single one of these fathers that I have talked to that are going through this will tell you they never thought this would happen to them. This is not something that was on my radar. It was something that I said, this will never happen to me. Every single one of them. You don't know what's going to happen and who it's going to affect until it's already there. And guys, by the time it's already there, it's too late. And you need to look at this too. If it's this bad now, what's it going to be later? You need to be thinking about those grandkids, your kids and your grandkids. This is something we have to be proactive, guys. Unfortunately, we are reactive. That's the reason why the mainstream media does the things they do and puts out the sensationalist articles, because people react to stuff. Even now, I know right now, because of where we're at in this case, we're losing the custody. People are going to be angry. They want to react to it. Well, guess what? For 4 years, I've been reporting on this and begging the same things. Now, I'm not trying to shame the audience. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just trying to stress the importance of, we need you before this stuff happens. We can prevent it. We can get involved, and we can let people. This case was hard because so many people didn't believe it. I have still talked to numerous people when they hear about what I do, and if they hear about some of these cases, they're like, that's not really happening. You can't find me one case where this is actually happening. This is just media sensationalism. Oh, yes, I can. Yes, I can. But there's many people in their brains, that's how they think. But if you guys got any questions and stuff for me, I'm going to get on here. And Pat was on my show not long ago, the new silver bullet in family court. This is insane. I'm angry and speechless. Man, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but Pat is going through this himself. His daughter, he's wanting the transition. You know, I won't go too deep in the weeds, but here is another father that's been on, guys. I promise you, it's happening to more than just this. Brian Harrell said, this has been a heartbreaking story with so many implications. This is a chance to bring attention to the family court issues. Equal shared parenting, judicial mandates must happen. I agree, guys. It is, again, such a divisive topic. One of the hard things that I've experienced is I know, even though I got a platform, again, I am limited in what I can do. And it's not about me being able to break a story. I could give a damn. I talked to an influencer last week, has a pretty big audience. And the first chance I got, I wasn't asking him about me or anything. I said, hey, man, it's like, I know you got a pretty big audience. Can I talk to you about something? I got a friend that's going towards something, and I'm trying to get him in front of as many people as I can. Would you mind interviewing him? And once he got to hear about it, he was like, yes. And was talking about Younger. We need those outlets. But one of the biggest challenges is when people hear it and they find out what they're going to have to speak about, they get scared. No, I'm going to be shadow banned. I'm going to get my page deleted. I am going to get a community guidelines. And what happens? People don't want to touch it, man. Brian, is there a way to get the family court hearing transcripts, video, audio? They closed the courts in this case. Holly Gager said, Eric Carroll, share his donation page for everyone, please. I shared on my page and donated. So I'll give it to you guys. And so there's even a story behind that, Holly. So there is a organization that was responsible for helping Jeff fund this. They operated on their own, but they wanted to get this story out there, and you can follow them on Facebook. It's called Save James. And they had a website, savejames.com. They've tried to get access to that page. They even wanted to get the donations and give it to the ex. There's been so many tricks that's been played, guys. They've even had Dad Talk Today put in as evidence in court because Jeff is not supposed to speak about this. Not only has he spent that $1.5 million in these past 5 years fighting tooth and nail, they told him he was not allowed to speak, put a gag order on him, and he didn't go along with it, guys. He said, you're not keeping me silent. It is my right to speak and fight for my son. Another reason I have so much respect for him. But they had this website, savejames.com. It has now been bought by a pro, whatever you want to call that movement. And now it's like pro research about what is gender transition surgery and everything. Talk about a slap in the face. So if you go to savejames.org, that is where you can get the donation link. So make sure you go to .org, not .com. But if you put in .com, you'll see the page I'm talking about. Lynn, this is something I hear about a lot. Is the kid actively asking for this change? I don't even know that. Let's be honest, guys. What kid is going around saying, I want gender transition surgery? That is something that has to be put in their head. Again, once you get of the age and you understand the magnitude of that decision, because the consequences are lifelong, then it is what it is. But the problem with this is when you got one parent that has full custody, one that loves them but can't have access, that isn't getting to put that knowledge in there, that isn't getting to give that other side of the story, how are you going to know what a kid really wants? A kid at that point in time is going to do what makes the one above him happy. There's still, I mean, it's kind of a moot point. It really is. Dia Merrill said, I am a liberal and I don't agree with this case. You know, I don't think so. I don't think a lot of people do, Dia. And let me say this. I think that is what really cost the Democrats the election. I was doing my research and found out Bill Clinton went to the Democrats and told them, like, hey, there's a lot of people that don't like this. The wokeness went too far. You need to watch out. I think it's doing you more harm than good. And they didn't listen. But that's the problem with identity politics. If the left says this is an issue, and to be left, you have to get behind this. Where did this come from? Where did that become the playbook? Like, you have to go along with everything that this side says that you have to go by. I have to believe, man, that even though we disagree, that there's many people over there on the left, because the left used to be the party of the people. They used to be, not so much anymore. Corporations and you name it. Anyway, I have to believe when they see this that they say, I can't get behind that. Sorry, guys, lost of words. I'm going to go through these. "707 Sneaks" there on Instagram said, exactly, no kids comes up with that on their own. This is a seed that has to be planted in their head. When I was young, I worried about Pokemon, not gender sexuality. Dude, that's what I'm saying. This is no kid is coming up with that, dude. Politics is getting into these kids and they're becoming experiments. They should not be a part of a political agenda, guys. They've got this generation will not know what it was like in our generation, not having information overload. Think about with the social media and this little device that gives you information all day long. These kids' heads, and we wonder why the mental health epidemic is the way that it is right now. They have so much on their plate. This is not something that they need. Once a kid gets older and they can make their own decisions and say, this is what I want with my life, a life-altering decision. What other life-altering decision, lifelong decision, do we let kids make at that age? But this one is okay. I mean, listen, I want to hear some of these questions from the other side that is thinking like, maybe this is okay. And I respect you for at least having the conversation. There's others there's many of them that don't even want you to talk. But if you could see the amount of people that actually support this, guys, it will blow your mind. It would literally blow your mind. Kettlebell said, how is the message of being prepared for this, getting to dads before it's too late? Hi from the UK. Hey, Kettle, I appreciate that, man. There's not much of it. I think the problem with mainstream media now is they like to talk about this when it gets views and when they can sensationalize it. But as far as getting people proactive and giving them the knowledge and the details about what needs to be done and what's causing it, we don't get that much. I mean, we see documentaries and stuff made about it all the time, but what I'm not seeing at the end is the call to action. This is how you get involved. This is where you can get the updates. If you want to get actively involved in getting legislation or something, go to this place. And that's something that we need. My part in this has been keeping that awareness out there, but I have said for a very long time, one thing I would like to see in the father's rights space, and moms should be involved with this too. Let me just throw that out there. But one thing I would like to see is you've got so many different causes that fall under this umbrella, whether it's CPS, whether it's child support, whether it's false allegations, Title 4D, the gender transition surgeries, paternity fraud, domestic violence. There's so many. And nobody's really specialized in anything. They're trying to cover all this stuff. And you're gonna have to get this information out there to people that don't have any experience with it, don't understand what it is. And I think all of this gets thrown on them, and then as they're hearing it, they're like, I'm out of here. Because it's confusing, dude. Here it is. I've been doing this, for several years now. I keep learning every day, but it stresses me out to the point like, I believe in it. I want to do something, but it's too heavy for me to carry right now. I got to get away from it. If we had these people that would form the groups, this one does this issue, this one does this issue. And as we're getting the awareness out, people that are passionate about it and want to see change, we say, hey, if you really want to help make a change, go over here. Or if you can't get involved, you're too busy at work, donate over here. What we really need is people that know how to raise funds to get that issue out there. Because guess what happens now? Say you got a group of 5 people that you're wanting to get in front of your congressman right now. They got to travel. They got to get there. They got to get the rental cars and the planes and stuff like that. It's not a funded thing. Unfortunately, one of the most important messages out there, and it's affecting dads going through family court in this economy that can't miss work and that definitely can't afford all these extra expenses. How Jeff was able to go, think about that, guys. Airplane tickets are not cheap right now. They're the most expensive I've seen in a long, long time. He's having to go from Texas to LA, LA to Texas, Texas to LA, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He's been doing that for over a year, just in his plane tickets alone. And then let's put on the hotel and the rental car and the gas and the food. Like, our people are not equipped. I mean, even if you had an army, the army is going to have weapons and it's got to have an arsenal. You know what I mean? And if you can get these little subgroups that say, this is where my talent is, and this is where I want to go, and this is one of those issues, especially with the gender transition stuff, it needs its own group really hitting this thing hard. When I was at the Capitol, guys, and I saw what I believe was Antifa, allegedly, what I believe is Antifa, according to Jeff Younger. Sorry, guys, I got a torn ligament in my knee, so I'm squirming in my chair. Um, Jeff had told me before about how well funded they were and how organized it was. And until you've been there face to face to see how they organize and how they prep their people, you won't get it. I got a lot of it on video, and hopefully I'll get to release it. We were halfway through shooting film to really give people an insight on what's going on, and we just ran out of funds, dude. But I was there that day that bill was getting voted on, and they actually started throwing flags down in the middle of Congress, dude, and getting everybody kicked out. Never seen anything like it. They got the whole Capitol shut down. And they did that so the bill couldn't be voted on. And it was one of those, like, they are the minority. Think about how many dads are going through, not just this particular issue, but family court in general. We're talking about millions. And they outnumber us big time. Not in people. We outnumber them, like, by the thousands, but there in person, that's not what it looked like. And it does. You can't help but sit there and think, like, where did we go wrong? At the end of the day, it's a lot of, I hear the same things. Fathers got to unite. They got to do this. They got to do. The guys are at work, and a lot of them are doing the best they can and doing everything they can to keep their head above water and stay in the game. And so we got to get some people that can afford that does have the talents to get that out there. I am getting to a point, guys. I'll be back a little bit later on. I have to do this a little bit at a time. It's heavy. I wish I had direction on which way to go with this right now. I don't know it, but we're going to find it out. And Jeff, man, keep your head up. We had an idea this was the way it was going to go. I mean, you couldn't argue the case better than what he did for himself. You just can't. And when you go up against an activist judge that is behind an issue like this, what did you expect to happen? All right, guys. I'll catch you a little bit later on when I get some updates. I'll let you know.